Let's get it rolling. We're going to begin tonight in the Big East. Coach Mack, a place that you are familiar with. It was the Dunkin' Donuts Center. It'll always be the Dunk to us. It's now named the Mika Mutual Pavilion, hosting Providence and number 4 UConn. The Friars are on the cusp of their 8th consecutive win, finding separation in the second half behind Bryce Hopkins, the Kentucky transfer, with 27 points. Mac, let's start with you. Your immediate reaction here to Providence and Ed Cooley on their way to an 8th consecutive victory.
Just the quintessential Big East, just physicality, toughness, emotion. You know, you had Ed over there on the sideline waving his hands up in the air to get the crowd going as if they needed any more motivation. It's really, really a unique environment. And you mentioned Bryce Hopkins, a one-time Louisville commit. He breaks my heart. Man, is he a tough matchup. I was a little surprised that UConn played 2 bigs as much as they did together. But, you know, Bryce Hopkins, just a tough matchup.
Jeff, I want to ask you this right off the top here. From this result, we're expecting to get Ed Cooley, by the way, as a special guest tonight. Has this game to you revealed more about Providence being legit, or that there are real concerns for Connecticut big picture?
I think it was a combination, right? Providence is much better than I thought they were going to be this year after flipping their team again with the portal, right? And then you've got UConn that got off to this great start. But again, they didn't have a lot of like big time wins in there. Remember, they beat Oregon and Portland when Oregon, Mac might as well have been in the backcourt because they had no guards. They had one guard, one ball handler. They beat Alabama. That was a hell of a win, but Alabama's kind of an up and down. You don't know what you're going to get some games. So I think UConn is probably more of a top 10-ish to 20-ish team than maybe number 1. And I think Providence, it's so funny because Cooley calls me a good amount. I've known Eddie for 25 years. So he calls me 3 weeks ago, and he's like, we're soft. I don't know how good we are. You know, Mac, you go through those days, right? You know, maybe you had a shitty couple practices, whatever. And then he calls me about 2 weeks ago, and he's like, you know what? We're getting tougher. And then he calls me the other night, and he's like, Devin Carter's been unbelievable. He takes us. So you kind of just see the progression of this team to be what he wants them to be, which is a bunch of MFers. Really, That's what he wants them to be.
And that's what he usually gets, you know. And when he calls you 3 weeks ago and he says, you know, we're soft, you know, understand his expectation and his standard that he's had in his program since he established it, you know, several years ago. You know, Ed, his teams play football in the half court. Yeah. And it may be an ugly style at times, certainly is to play against, but, you know, he's incorporates a little bit of that flex stuff at times. You know, He's got 1,000 set plays like a football coach, and he gets his guys to compete on the defensive end. And it's like, if you watch his team physically every year, that all their guys just look like, I don't know who the strength coach is, but he probably doesn't get paid enough because he plays with men. Ed has men out there, and that's how he got him to play tonight. As you may not think UConn's a top 10 team, but they're pretty daggone close. And those 2 last games they've had to play at Xavier and at Providence aren't the easiest places to play in the Big East.
Mac, give us a taster. You just talked about Cooley's expectations for his team. What is the emotion level of going into that building? Because now Providence is 28-1 in their last 29 home games. As a visiting coach, when you went to Rhode Island for a game, what are some of the things you heard? What was it like being on the other side of that? Like, there's so many stories. What can you share?
Well, I don't know how many things I can repeat that I heard from the fans in the stands, but, you know, they love their Friars. I mean, they just absolutely show out for Big East games. It is going to be raucous. I don't even know if Providence – I don't think they even had students back yet. And if they maybe not. They did. No?
They don't. Nope.
So, I mean, like, for that place to be rocking, I know coaches always worry. You know, you look at the first conference game or two after the new year. You know you're not going to have students there. The atmosphere is not going to be what it's normally going to be in January and February. And for Providence to have the type of environment they did tonight just says a lot about their program and what Ed's done. But it's no easy task. John, you can go in there, and Providence can be a 500 team, which doesn't happen often. And you still know it's going to be a war, and their guys are going to be on the floor. And if your guys aren't first to the floor, you're not winning that game.
It's at a different level now too, Mac. Like, I know when you went into Providence, it was tough, but as Fanta knows, over the last like 2 years,
oh my God,
it's insane now. I would put it, I'm telling you, like, you have obviously Duke, Kansas that are at a different level. When Indiana's rolling, it's at a Gonzaga. Like, there's, people want to put Arizona in there. Arizona's not in there like
Texas
it used
Tech.
to be. What is?
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech, absolutely. I was going to say the two that, like, people don't really know about are Texas Tech and Providence, that I would put in the top 10, maybe even in the top 5. I mean,
and that's a credit to Ed, his
yes.
staff, the players. I mean, John referenced the 28-1 over the last 29 games. I mean, you're going for an event that they're usually successful on that evening.
And they're doing plenty. The kids are doing plenty of this. Like, out
the
of their
adults are too.
I mean, listen, Fan and I walked in last year, right? Fanta, we walked in last year.
Oh, wait, no, hold on. We walked in last year, Mac. He got a chorus of boos.
And Fanta, they were like cheering. They were like bowing down to Fanta, and they're
Rightfully
like
so.
booing my ass.
Rightfully so. Yeah, rightfully so.
I mean, Dakin, it definitely was deserved. They're out of control. It has become, Jeff, like, and here's the thing, Mac. I think you'll understand this. Like, I got to tell you guys, when the students come back to campus, it doesn't matter who they're playing.
Right.
I did a game.
You've been there for some like low major games.
Oh my God, you were there. Were you there? Did you make it for Northeastern?
Yeah, it was great. It was phenomenal.
Like, it was